Welcome everyone. Makozi Racing Internacional salutes you. This is the stream for the Supra GT Cup of 2020, and just now, about 10 minutes ago, we had our first no, not our first, the second round of the series. It was held at the Nürburgring 24-hour layout with obviously with the Supra GT cars. I'm just here at the event. Obviously it's finished now, so it's moved on to the third round, but I'm going to go back. I'm going to show you the replay of the qualifying and the replay of the race as well. So qualifying first. In terms of qualifying, I wasn't too happy with the lap that I set. It wasn't it's I didn't really nail it. The problem was is that for some reason I was driving a little bit too fast on my outlap. I was afraid that I was going to miss the start of the lap, so that contributed a little bit to the tire issue. Also to mention that I was pushing way too much in the fast lap. I was not pushing enough in some places. I was pushing too much, and because of that, the car was just was sliding far too much. And by the time I got to the midpoint of the lap, somewhere around the Internacional Forest section, a little bit later than that, the tires were fairly worn. So this is the outlap. You can see Amazing Al, he's behind us. Hey Wesley, Byron, Amazing, hey, just mentioned you, there you are. And Cody. So I was my thought for this outlap was to try and get it in front of this small group that was in front. So we had Dylan, UNC Pubs, Noodles, Metal Gear, and Emery at the lead of that. But just looking at how congested it is, it was just really congested at this point. And you can see 3 cars in front. Metal Gear is driving very slow, trying to save his tires. And I am not even saving them as good as Metal Gear. So that was a small issue. I see I have a little bit of a gap behind me, so I decide just to go back to the pit immediately. You can see everyone, they're still going. Metal Gear is still going fairly slow, trying to save his tires. He's just letting Dylan, Amazing out in front. UNC Pubs close behind. But I decide to go out of the pit a little bit later again, so that I have clean air, so I don't have any traffic to think about. So I just focus on my lap. Problem was, I was driving not very fast, but I was driving moderately fast on this lap. So, as I mentioned before, this does contribute to tire wear. This does not set you up nicely for a fast lap. I still had a whole minute left, so I could have gone considerably slower and saved the tires more. So let's go. Just want to check how okay, he set the pole position in lap time. Just interested what his tires were like when he started the lap. Okay, so those are his tires, and you can see his outlap. It took 11 minutes and 18 seconds. So he's going to go and start his lap. He set pole position, as I mentioned. My outlap took 10 minutes and 9 seconds, so it was a minute and 10 seconds faster. And that's where all the tire wear went, because you can see, if you go back into the stream, you'll see that Metal Gear's tires are in a lot better condition than mine. So I wasn't careful enough. I should have gone back to the pits earlier, to be honest. But I wasn't sure whether or not that queue of cars was gonna, whether or not I was gonna get by them or not. So I really went into this lap a very at a big disadvantage, if you could say. Tires that are worn already that much start costing you a lot of time. You can see Metal Gear, he's on his lap already. He's already gone onto the Nordschleife, and if you compare that to my tires, they're even better. So I'll leave you with the my lap. It was not too fast, but yeah. Colin sounded like he was playing medieval game. Oh, was he streaming then? I didn't know. I haven't seen him stream in quite a while. Yeah, I wonder how much he was talking through the race on that second lap when he was starting to lose a bit of time. I would like to see that. Hey Noodle. Oh, Noodles. Yeah, welcome. I think you got 6th place. Yeah, that was a pretty strong result. Oh, fair enough, Byron. Thanks. Let's see. So it's an 8-minute lap. It's pretty long. Adam's tires were way better too. So traction. No, Mitchie, sorry, that was a mistake actually. For the first portion of my timed lap, I actually didn't mean to have traction on. So it was on 1 just for the purpose of saving tires, but obviously I did not do that enough. I wasn't driving slow enough, and yeah, I forgot to turn it off. And I saw by the time I got to the U-turn of the GP circuit, then I noticed it. Up until that point, I really didn't think it was bothering me too much. So when I noticed it was on, I just decided to turn it off. Yeah, if anyone that's watching and they're doing the Supra Cup races later today or tonight, just watch out for that. I mean, probably there are some guys that prefer it on, but probably the elite group, they will find it a bit more beneficial with it off. So, just as an example, this is one thing. See that slide? That's what cost me part of the tires. So I didn't go off track or anything, but that's what took off some of the speed, took off some of the life. Here, this corner is very well known for in Gran Turismo for people going off on the left to get a better entry. So instead of keeping it on the line like you would in real life, you're actually going with the left tires on the grass, and that's for more rotation, I think, or just having a wider line. And people can make that work. And Metal Gear, he was doing that, in the race. He was doing that most likely in qualifying. And I remember from last year when we still had the Super Cup, people were doing it as well. So that sort of thing, it will give you time, maybe 2/10, but you have to consider the risk. See, the car is just sliding a bit too much. It's not looking quite so happy. road as much as I would have liked. It's probably the hardest race I've done. Yeah, Noodles, I would agree. The Nürburgring 24 Hours in itself is just a very hard track. See there, missing the apex, losing time again. But yeah, it's there's just so much that you need to do to get around it in the first place, and then pushing the limits of it. That's a completely different matter by itself. See, once again, I'm just sliding far too much. Again, that's what you want to avoid with the Supra. If you slide too much, see they're going on the grass as well, that's not going to help you. You need a kind of power slide, but not too excessively with this car. It's a very fine balance. That's due to its LSD. It's very unique LSD in its short wheelbase. So when the throttle is on, with the LSD it's closed. When the throttle is off, that's when it opens, and when it's open, that gives it a bit more rear end maneuverability. When the power is down, it's kind of understeering it on the throttle, so that's what you might feel. The car doesn't want to listen to you too much if you're accelerating and it's just going off into the distance. But that's one of the characteristics of the new Supra. That's something you need to learn. It's a bit more pronounced in this version. And there's definitely a learning curve in order to be good at this car. Well, because that too, Noodles. I agree. Yeah. Hey, Psycho Sheet, welcome to the stream. So, for those that are just tuning in now, we're going around the qualifying lap. How did the race go, Red Mist? Welcome, first of all. The race went fine. I would have preferred to have gotten one position higher, obviously. But, yeah, considering the driver that beat me, I can accept that. You can see that, like, that's a huge power slide right there. You can see how it's just drifting around, and it's that would be, to me, going down to 5th too early. Again, this is one of the other things that you need to learn. Engine braking is very powerful in this car. So, the moment you go into a lower gear, the car will want to turn in more. And yeah, it's just a lot of things that you need to control in the Supra. First, like the Nürburgring, you just want to get the hang of it first. Just learn how to make it through in one piece, and then you want to start pushing. And that's the exact same thing about the Supra. Yeah, the race, it was fine. There was two strategies on the table. You could have pitted in, gone for the fresh rubber, and pushed on the second lap, or you could have tried to make it the tires last all the way. And, I don't think too many people went for the first option. When I tested it, it was a little bit slower overall. But again, you have to be very confident in your car to be able to make a no-stop work. So it really depends. And you can see again, this entire section is not pretty at all. The car is out of shape. I'm pushing it too much, and the rears are really getting hit very hard on this lap. So, okay, so Metal Gear, just to clarify, he got the pole position, but he got a very, very helpful tow down the back street. That pretty much gives a free second if you're close enough. So Dylan there, he misses the corner, gets out of his way. That lets him in front. But you can see his tires. They're when you compare them to mine, obviously in a lot better shape. So that's the important thing. You need to take care of your tires in the outlap. That's a very, very important. That's why there are 13 minutes for you to do an outlap, not 10. And I was driving like there was 10, not 13. But that's down to me having exited the pit a bit later. And yeah, that's pretty much what cost me a lot of time. So, coming onto the Dottinger Höhe, you can see again, car sliding about, not being really confident at all, being overconfident actually, pushing way too much. I think Viper said he had to serve a penalty or something. Yeah, he had to serve a penalty, so there you go. Straight. Really nothing to see here. And braking point for this downhill section is pretty much where the curb starts on the left. So once that starts, that's when you want to take off, start braking. If you go a bit later, you can still make it, but you'd have to be very, very smart in your driving, being able to hold the brake that long without losing the rear, considering all the weight transfer that you've got. But yeah, in the end I got a 9:35.6, 5 seconds off Metal Gear, so that is considerably a lot more pace in there. Also, looking at the tires too, that also contributed a bit. And the Metal Gear, he got pole position, I was in second, and Emery in third. So Emery did a pretty good job. I know that she's been racing on the Nürburgring like in other sims, so she probably does have a bit of an advantage around this track, knows what to look out for, some of the braking markers and whatnot. But still, great job by her. I didn't do too well. Noodles, we'll have a look at that at the end of the race. I'm interested in how everyone did with their tyres, to be honest. As you can see, we had McEwen in fourth, behind Emery of course, and Adam in fifth, Noodles in sixth, Amazing now going right behind in seventh, Double H eighth, Lockie in ninth with the race Supra, with Matt with colourful red and gold there, Captain Whiskey. White and black, followed by TBR, who had a really interesting rainbow livery there. And Brian, Satellite Racing livery, teammate of Kizo as well. Like I said, KFC, doing some pubs. By Eastwood, Dylan Lindgren, Slydog not getting a qualifying time in, and Gizzo as well. So, fuel burning is pretty much the name of the game here. I think I'll leave it on, I don't know, I should probably leave it like this. Somehow so that you guys can see behind as well. So a little bit of a wiggle there to get the tires up to temperature. Early on the brakes, Just letting know everyone behind, careful at turn 1. And I guess that my mistake here was also, I was saving the tires, but I wasn't keeping on to Metal Gear, and that was probably what lost me a lot of time. Had I stayed in Metal Gear Slipstream, I would have probably gained about half a second to a second on the first lap in comparison to what actually happened, and that could have benefited me a lot more in the final lap. So you can see I'm taking it easy. Early on the brakes, late on the acceleration, power pedal, and trying to turn as less as possible in the corner. So you can see here, this is gonna. You can have a better look at my steering input. You can see also at the red dot beneath it how much of lock I'm going to. So I'm still haven't reached full lock at any point of this lap. That's a very big role that plays into the tire wear. So you don't want to go full lock when you're saving tires. That's you're kind of blocking the tires from doing their job. Because the thread, it's going to be coming across the track. It's not going to be going directly on it. And your car is moving forward, but the tires want to go extremely much more to the right. And instead of going right, the cars are just sliding along the track, and that's what's burning them up. So that contributes to the fronts wearing more. As for the rears, that's just from the rear kicking out a bit more, going on the throttle earlier, and in general not being careful with your exits. So you can see Metal Gear, he's brought out a bit of a gap at this point. I think it was around 1.5, and this is what I was getting to. This is the one trick that a lot of people tend to use in this track, in the game. In real life, this isn't practical. So you can see he goes very late on the brakes. He jumps basically over that hill. Pretty much everyone does. But just as he's going over, he puts the car onto the grass, and the moment he clears that hill, that's when he starts applying the brakes. You see there, he's still in 6th. And the moment he gets to this escape road, that's when he's got a bit more grip. He's pushing to rotate the car. The grass is rotating the car. And even though he's sliding, that extra rotation was enough to turn it more into a power slide than an actual kind of losing control. So that's well timed. That's a trick that drivers use in GT Sport. I don't really go for that. I don't know. Previous experience has told me it just doesn't end well. Either I get it too early, hit the curb, throws me off, grass on the outside on the exit, or I just miss the corner entirely because I'm either braking too early or too late, and I'm not carrying enough speed to get it done. So that takes a lot of practice. And as you can see, Metal Gear, he's one of the people that's been able to do that successfully. Pleasure. He's been setting true Phillips, but he's not unbeatable. Let's try. There's always a bit of room to improve. Metal Gear's he's just found a lot of speed this track, and he's done a really good job being able to get the most out of the car, to get the most out of the track. I hope one day I could get to that point, actually, on the Nürburgring. I really like the Nürburgring. It's one of my favorite tracks, alongside Le Sarthe and Spa. And I do very well in race cars, but the road car part, that's what still escapes me on this track. So I remember there were daily races. Okay, he's been doing a lot of time trials, a lot of daily races with road cars on this specific track, so he knows what road cars want, how they react in general. I'm guessing the Supra wasn't too different. Also, I don't have too much experience in real road cars. I haven't driven road cars for too long, so there's that as well. I don't have quite as much experience in those. So Emery's she's right there, about 6-7 tenths behind. Got McEwen and Adam, but also then Matt seems to have I think he's fallen behind a bit. I don't remember. Maybe he started a little bit towards the further part of the field, so that's why we're not seeing him there. But yeah, it's pretty calm at this point. You can see the Emery just following us. That rear view of the Supra. Metal Gear at this point, he got to around 2.1, 2.2 gap, so he's pulling away. And looking at the tires, his front seemed to be wearing a little bit more. You can see there Noodles. He's struggling a tiny bit with his front left. It's at the same level as Metal Gear, like he alluded to in the chat. Matt also struggling a tiny bit. Viper Z is not having a good time at all. So is TBR. Brian is doing pretty well. Side Old Pubs. Okay. So at this point we're just nursing our tires. That was the goal for this first lap, to look after the tires, and we're doing okay, I'd say. Maybe there's a bit more in it, but I had to push slightly harder to keep up with Metal Gear, and also to keep Emery behind, because she was there. If I took off a little bit earlier somewhere, or if I wasn't going quite as fast, she would have been all over the back of me, and most likely a battle would have ensued. That would have let Metal Gear get away, which I didn't really want. I wanted to fight for the win, obviously. So there was that. See, we're pushing the car a lot. We're getting close to the edges of the track. We're using a lot of the curb. Again, realistically, in real life, you can't attack the curbs as much, because you just see how steep they are, and it's not worth it. You could easily cause some damage to the underbody, to the suspension of the car, and that's gonna reduce the reliability that you have. So at this point, Emery, she's still in my toe, so around 0.9 to a second. Further down the field, I think there's a bit of a bunch up. So from Double H to McEwen, it's getting a lot closer. And sometime on this lap, Adam and McEwen, they start fighting. See that Adam, he pulls out, try and go for a pass. McEwen breaks late. Not late, but he breaks to defend. See a small lock up on his part. That's gonna not help the tires too much. Noodles, Amazing Out and Double H, they're there too. So it's Adam, how's Adam's tires? Yeah, so Adam has slightly better tires than McEwen. So if he gets close enough, he might be able to pull something up, but that should have been done ideally on the GP sector. Now it's going to be a lot more difficult for him to pull something off. So Double H, he's dropping behind. So is Amazing on Noodles. They're falling behind Adam. Okay, they're staying there, but slowly losing a bit of time. So down the field. Seidel has gotten a penalty. Pub seems to have lost out a lot, and as well as Dylan. Dylan seems to have lost a fair bit of time in comparison to everyone else. That's pretty bad. Let's hope. Yeah. So Amazing Out has better tires than Adam. Has better tires than Noodles. You can see that's excuse me, that's a noticeable difference there. Let's compare that to Metal Gear. So it's not too much of a difference between Metal Gear. My tires are a bit better. So on the second lap, it was really I was really trying to push and catch Metal. I did miss a few corners, honestly. So that's what let him get away a bit more. Emery, she's starting to fall behind. Before her tire was coinciding a bit with my level, and now in the second lap, it seems that it's starting to fall away just a little bit. So she was able to get that first part of the race under control, but then you can see she has to resort to third gear. Has to go into lower gears to get the car through, to get the engine braking, to get it turned. Being a bit more aggressive on the throttle, it's not doing her any favors in terms of the tyre wear, but still doing a very good job there in third. So Adam has the best tyres out of everyone, I think. McEwen is on par with him. And there was an overtake actually. So just have a quick look at what happened. So it looks like there may have been an incident. McEwen, he comes back onto track. He's going to have the dirty tires. And it just causes him to go back off once more because he was carrying a lot of momentum. Really not too much he could have done about that, other than not missing the apex, but still. That's a very common mistake. It's happened to me many times. So that's unfortunate. And he's fallen right behind Noodles and Amazing Owl, who are already there to pick up the pieces if something happens. Yeah, Byron and Michael. Yeah, it's a little bit confusing for people that haven't driven too much on the Nürburgring. There's just so many corners that trying to remember it all, it takes a bit of time. So I can see that happening, obviously. But yeah, after a while, you can get used to it. You'll remember generally how the track goes. You'll know that there's some sort of flow to it all, and that's it's going to help you significantly. So you can see the battle for 5th, 6th, and 7th. McEwen, he's there. He doesn't look like he's quite under attack just yet. This still is a pretty long straight. So Noodles here, he doesn't go for the pass, he just sticks behind. His tyres aren't too great. You see McEwen, he loses it a little bit there as well in the exit. So he's having to fight the car a bit more to stay in front. Amazing Hours just there as well. Yeah, I agree. It's the same case for me. I mean, Brute 4s, 3, 2, 1. Those are fine for me around the Nova. Like, I can be very consistent, very, very fast with them. But road cars is just it's a different style of driving. The tires are not too bad, really. They're still that much, but you are a little bit at a disadvantage at this point, obviously. So the point at which I started making a kind of a bit of a return in Metal Gear was coming into the Adenauer Forest. So after like the first half of the lap, and the moment that this complex section started coming up, so you can see I'm around this distance from Metal Gear, and coming onto this kind of secondary straight. It's not even a straight, it's a very fast, high-speed section of the track. Metal Gear makes a small mistake. I'm right there, and now I'm within 1.3, 1.2, and I'm starting to catch up proper. The beginning of the lap, somewhere on the Nordschleife, I was 2.3, now I'm 1.2, and you can see his tyres have taken a little bit of a beating because he was pushing more on that first lap. So seeing the tyres has paid off. Again, I'm not pushing it quite as much to the limit as he is, though. So progress is a bit slower. I would have liked a braking earlier than I should be at some corners. So the confidence levels aren't the highest right now. I think he gets a very good run out of the carousel. I don't get quite as good as he does. It stays at 1.2 at this point. See, I'm really starting to close up now. It's at about the 1 second mark. It's getting within almost a second at some places, but some corners you can see there, right there. I don't get it as good as I should be. Those are the small mistakes that lets Metal Gear pull a bit of a gap. See, losing the rear end. Tires are starting to give up. So I'm asking a bit too much of them to be able to make it work. You see, just having to correct a lot of the time. Oh, okay, we'll see that. I didn't know that he crashed. now it's back to 1.2. So I'm really putting a lot more effort into the steering wheel to make it work. And we're catching up to now. Let's see what happened to McEwen. It seems that something happened to him. Gets on the throttle a little bit early. Uses the curb. That slide did not do him any favors when it was aided by the grass. So let's have a look there. Yeah, it gets a bit too much of the curb. It gets on the curb again. He's on the power. His rear tires are on the grass. It's a bit like how GTR was struggling a bit yesterday in the Manufacturer Series too. So that was very well timed by Noodles there to avoid it. If he was a bit closer, or if he didn't brake even, that would have ended in disaster. And same for Amazing how he braked in accordance to what Noodles did, and they both made it through. Unfortunately, McEwen he loses 5th place, and he drops down to 9th, maybe even 10th because Matt is there as well. Yeah, coming onto the final straight. It's me and Metal. It's about 1 second now. 1.1. No, sorry, 1.2 actually. So you can see he's weaving left and right, and to avoid giving me the toe. I'm trying to anticipate that and just follow him around so I can get something out of it. But again, weaving that much is just you don't see that in real life. To say so, I don't do that. Many things I don't do that Metal Gear does, but still. So he comes. It wasn't enough. I closed up in the back of him into this braking mark zone. You can see I actually went earlier on the brakes due to the worst tires. Had to rely on the engine braking quite a lot to make it through there. See, we just missed out. Metal Gear is less than half a second at the end of the line. So well done to him. He's very fast on this track, and he deserves that, considering how quick he is. Hey Originals, welcome Randall. Great to see you here, mate. It's been a while since I've seen you here on the channel. So it's great to have you here. We've got Emery, Adam, Amazing out in the top 5. Followed by Noodles, and Noodles actually lost out, I think. He didn't. It was very close. He did actually lose out. So this was interesting. Nice battle towards the end. Final straight battle. But Amazing. He's timed that very well, so that now he can get in front of Noodles. He immediately goes defensive. And you can see Noodles is he's trying to make something work. He has to pull off. I admit that was very well timed by Amazing Al. So good job to him. He snatches 5th. At the end, Noodles, he misses out. So there's not too much he can do, considering his tyres are just a little bit worse for wear. And Hayden follows behind in 7th. So a little bit of a stunts over the line. Good job by both of them. McEwen and Adam had the same sort of thing happen. You see there, Matt going for the pass, timing it so that McEwen can't really get the toe to get back again. He has to resort to going on the outside here, trying to maybe hold the inside. Just slides it across. He's struggling. They're both struggling a lot under braking. Kieran has to eventually back out of that. You can see gets a better exit, but Matt has just made his car a bit too wide for him to make anything work. In a retreat. Yeah, Byron, I think a lot of the drivers, they don't give up. They always want to get some good result, and that's really important. So big loser out of all of this was McEwen, unfortunately, with that spin at the end. Brian Sidog from almost last to 12th, Wipers at 13th, Risky 14th, we have 15th, Kizza 16th, Pubs, and Dylan, fortunately, rounding out the entire grid. So that was the Super Cup, round 2 of the Super Cup. We finished second. We didn't get the most points out of that, obviously, but still, second is not bad when you're going up against someone like Metal Gear on this certain track. He's very, very fast. So we got 318 for that. Just one more point than the first round, which was at Fuji, which we won. So Metal Gear, I think he got 331. So at the end of the day, he's going to be leading the Super Cup after the end of this round. And the next one will be at Circuit del South. 4 laps of that. Obviously, Supra, all Supras. And you have Laguna Seca, Interlagos, Tokyo Expressway, and the final round being in August there at Mount Panorama. That's going to be I like these combinations. It's decent tracks for the Supra. A lot of overtaking opportunities, a lot of fun to be had, and yeah, that's how the Supra is. It's fun to drive once you get to know it better. To Nürburgring, it's a bit more of a struggle, but that's how it works. Yeah, that's okay, Randall. I understand. It's difference in time zones. Obviously, it won't suit you too well. But I appreciate it. Whenever you come in, it's always appreciate it. Thanks, mate. Anyhow, that's gonna do it for now, guys. That was the stream of the replay for the second round of the GR Super GT Cup. Thank you all for tuning in. For those of you who have not done your races yet to do them, good luck with that. I hope they go well. Nürburgring poses a very interesting challenge for a lot of drivers, so good luck with that. You're going to need it. And stay safe during these times. Be careful, obviously. As always, just take it easy. Until next time, driving with the best.